Welcome, everybody. I am now calling to order the May 28th, 2025 Manitou Springs Mobility and Parking Board. James, are we recording everything all set up digitally? My name is Corey Satella and I am the chair of the MAP board. So I see we've got Pamela Smith is here.
Here.
And Luke Prince is here. Welcome, everybody. I am now calling to order the May 28th, 2025 Manitou Springs Mobility and Parking. And we have Carl Stang. Present. And with that, we've got quorum, and I see that Bill Kerner, Joy Porter, and Rolf Jacobson are excused today. So we do have quorum, and we'll move right on in. That was roll call and introductions. And we're going to move to item B1, which is introduction of the new mobility and parking director. So we're very pleased to have Mr. John Crawford joining us. And John, if you wouldn't mind, just give us a little bit of your background and a little bit about your vision for this position and what makes you most excited about joining our team here.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is John Crawford, and I've been working in various parts of parking and mobility for close to 24 years now. I actually started out in transportation on regulated ferry services on the coast of North Carolina between Southport and Bald Head Island. So that was my first experience, not shuttle buses, but shuttle ferries. And then I got into parking because everybody had to take a shuttle and get on into electric or bicycle transportation on the island. So we parked their vehicles, put them on the ferries, transported their luggage, their other belongings, or just day trips. And then we had a transportation system that carried to the different locations on the island. So that's how I first got into transportation, multiple mobilities. We had a shuttle service for the parking lots, all that type of stuff. And then I've had just various jobs throughout government, private sector, and municipalities in parking and mobility jobs. My latest one was 4 years at Colorado Springs as the parking manager for the city. And I'm excited about this particular position because other than when I was at Bald Head, this one will be a lot of focus on different types of mobility and putting those systems together. I enjoy parking. I know a lot about parking, and I've worked in that for a long time, but I'm excited about being able to pull the mobility part of that together with the parking and try to meet the goals that y'all have outlined. And hopefully I can bring some good solutions to you. So that's me in a nutshell.
Thanks, John. Does anyone have any questions for John at this time? No? Okay, well, we're really excited that you're here and welcome on board, and we're looking forward to working with you. Next up, we are very pleased to have the new director of the Chamber of Commerce. And so, Jenna, if you wouldn't mind kind of doing the same, just give a little introduction and if you don't mind, because we've got people online also.
Hello, Jenna Gallus. I'm with Visit Manitou Springs. I'm the new executive director, taking office, I suppose, on Monday. So thank you for inviting me here today. I've been with Visit Manitou Springs for 8 years as the event manager. So familiar with the happenings over there at the Chamber of Commerce and all we dabble in this community. And really excited that you had me here tonight. It's my first time at the MAP board meeting, so looking forward to learning a little bit more and how we can partner, integrate. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Jenna. And I just really want to say, here we are the Mobility and Parking Board, and we're really representing the interests of citizens. And the citizens of Manitou benefit when the businesses are succeeding. And we're really looking forward to coordinating with you and getting your feedback and ideas. So I want you to feel welcome at any time to share your suggestions, and you're always welcome at our meetings. You're not required to attend them, but you're always welcome, and we'd always value your input and feedback. Thank you. So thanks a lot for being part of our team. And we also have joining us tonight our new city engineer. Ben, can you please give us a little introduction?
Yeah, thank you for having me, everyone. I'm Ben Schmidt. I'm the new city engineer. I grew up in Manitou. My wife and I actually met in the Manitou school system. So we've been around here for a little while and done a bunch of different types of engineering work from, oh man, oil and gas, transportation, city engineering to big bridge projects, and lots of multimodal accommodations for each one of those types of projects, those big ones that we've done connecting cities. And so I think the thing that I'm most excited about this job is that there is a very engaged community here that advocates for multimodal access. And that is really beneficial because I also have that same vision. So when we're doing big road projects, when we're doing crossings, when we're doing things like that, when we're thinking about bike and walking infrastructure, I really want to incorporate those suggestions and ideas into the plans as much as we possibly can because yeah, my family loves this area and yeah, we love being able to get around the town by other means than just a vehicle.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ben. And I'll just make the observation. So we've had some staffing changes here in Manitou. And so we've got the Streets Division of Public Works. We've got the traffic engineering function, and then we've got the parking and mobility things. And we're really looking forward to seeing how our new team is going to work together to cover all of those bases. So again, welcome to the team and thanks for providing your expert input.
Yeah, thank you. And the good thing is that John and Eric and I work really well together so far. And yeah, we're looking forward to coming up with collaborative solutions. We communicate frequently. So I'm looking forward to what we can do in the future.
Great. Well, thank you. And please think of us as a resource. And if we can support you in being successful, we're looking forward to doing that. Okay, so with that, I guess now we'll do the approval of the agenda. Are there any suggestions or comments about changing the agenda? If not, I would welcome a motion to approve the agenda.
Corey, I would move that we approve the agenda as written.
That's Carl. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, any discussion or other thoughts? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye, passes unanimously. Now we will do approval of the minutes, and I believe we do have some comments on the minutes. Is it right, Carl? Have you got some?
So I just had a couple minor things in the minutes.
Just
So
to clarify, these are the April minutes.
correct.
And in April, we approved the February minutes and we didn't have a meeting in March. So now if we approve these, we'll be caught up.
Correct. So the first comment there was, and I'm trying to find it again, in the Pike Ride update, there was mention that there was the increased ridership and just the attribution for the increase in ridership. I would like to have it updated to mention that it's also based on the additional stations and hubs, not just weather. And I can tell you the page here in a second if I can find it. It's in the packet, it's page 5, staff presentations, bike ride update. It just mentions that increase was due to favorable weather, but I think it's important to note that the increase is also attributable to the additional stations. And then the second comment in the Mountain Metro report in multiple places, I think somehow James, your name got put in there instead of Jacob from Mountain Metro. So those were the only two minor comments that I had. Otherwise, everything was great.
Yeah, I think so the Pike Ride one, I think is a good one, Carl. Substantial increase in Pike Ride users in March, and that's compared to March of last year. So maybe we could make that addition, James, to say it's compared to last year and likely due to favorable weather and increase in stations. And yep. And then, sorry, it was the right, under G5. It was Jacob that presented the proposal.
Yeah, and there's multiple spots, but that whole Mountain Metro section was Jacob giving that input.
Okay, you comfortable with those changes, James?
Yeah, I can make those changes pretty easily. I cleaned up a bunch of those already. I must have missed that section there. So easy enough.
Great. With that, is there a motion to approve the minutes of April 2025 meeting with the noted changes?
Corey, I would move that we approve the April minutes with the two noted minor changes.
A second?
I second.
Thank you, Pam. Any other discussion? If not, please indicate your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
I,
And the chair votes aye, and that passes unanimously. Okay, next up, we have public comment on non-agenda items. Is there any member of the public that would like to make a comment on something that's not on the agenda? No. None online? Okay. Okay, we're moving. Next up, we have City Council Liaison Report. Councilmember Johnson, would you like to give us a liaison report?
Okay, so first, is it too hot in here now? Do you want me to turn on? Okay,
It's heating up.
yeah, okay, yeah. Here, do you want to turn? Like torturing everyone. Okay, all right, so let's see, first thing, congratulations on your work with the 20 mph piece that has moved forward, and I think everyone's, pretty favorable about what that means for our residents and community. The other thing, I don't have a ton because you guys are really great about having everything on the agenda that we're going to be discussing and things like that. But I did want to mention that I recently learned that the URA area is not CDOT. It's not a CDOT road. So, yep, I just found that out. So I'm not quite sure what that means for all of you, but I just think that's an interesting bit of information. From the bridge. And then the other thing is that the new street signs are starting to go up. And again, like everything, right? Having the right person on the right road at the right time and knowing that is really important, and they're really attractive. So I think that will have an impact too as people are navigating Manitou. So those are my only updates. Do you have anything to add, Denise? You good? Oh, yeah. The Route 3. So again, this is really exciting, but starting, we're going to be, when does that start? Is it fall? It's fall that the Route 3. Yeah, September. We'll have the Route 3 bus line will be free for users. That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's why you're getting me excited there. It's okay. Yeah, so 33 is the fall, but I'm excited about the Route 3. Which is in the spring. But that bus route will be free, and we will have 3 buses running that route. And so for a lot of folks, the wait will be about 10 minutes. And again, it's free all the way to downtown Colorado Springs. And so for me, that feels like a game changer for this community. And then additionally, starting in the fall, we'll have the 33 bus that will start taking people from the Dillon through town. So some of the pieces that sorry, go ahead.
So the 33 has 3 is still 2.
I think it's going to be 3 actually for Route 3.
That's
Correct.
So I just want to clarify.
I'm sorry. I've got a lot on my plate at the moment. So
That's okay. So they're adding an additional bus to the 33 to try to offset the extra distance. So they will be eliminating the 36 completely for the next year. Doesn't run during the off season anyways, but they're basically going to be taking that bus and adding it to the 33 route. So during the summer next year, you'll have a third bus for the 33. And that'll shorten the service time considerably.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I do apologize for that. Anyway, so yeah, so those are my big updates there. I did want to mention too that we are having discussions. I think initially when they were introduced during council correspondence, we talked about having a downtown RPP, but that's not what we're talking about. But we are going to have discussions around if you are a resident living in the downtown area, your pass, and this is just a discussion coming forward, but there may be discussions around your pass enabling you to park on the street at 5 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. or being able to stay in place until 9 a.m. and not having to move at that early morning time. And so just conversations around how we can improve how the people living downtown are able to kind of navigate things. And so I just wanted you all to be informed of that conversation that'll be coming forward to council too.
And Natalie, would you expect that that would be a proposal that would come to map board or?
Initially, during the conversation, it was something that they just wanted to move fairly quickly on. And so it's possible it's not going to come to you. However, if you do have a chance to check out the packet, even though you wouldn't be able to speak on behalf of MAPS per se, you could come to the meeting and offer any suggestions probably, depending on whether it's a work session or not.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any
Any additional
questions for
questions?
Natalie? Carl?
Well, so first I want to say thank you to council for the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. And I saw staff is already hot on that in addressing El Paso over by the ball field. So that's super awesome, I think, for the city. And then also thank you for the bus, the 3 free. I mean, that's going to be transformational, I think, for getting people out and about and down to Safeway and giving people options. And then, also being smart about 36 and using that additional bus to maintain the headways for 33 to set the Dillon up for success, I think is just super fantastic. So I'm totally stoked about that. But I was curious, I know we had talked earlier in the year about having maybe like a co-session with MAPS and council to discuss roles and that. And I know there's been a lot on council's plate, no shortage of high priority items, but just curious if that's still in queue anywhere or any discussion on that.
Right. I will admit that I have not brought that up with the mayor recently. And so I will certainly do that because that is a request that you've had for quite a while now. And we do need to address that. So I will definitely make that a priority.
Thanks for bringing that up, Carl. I think, again, with our staffing changes, we've got a new opportunity to reset how we all collaborate here on these topics. So exciting times coming ahead. I think we're going to have a bit more discussion about the bus system later in the agenda. I think that.
Yeah, I'll touch on some additional information. There's not too much more aside from that. Those are the kind of the biggest changes, but I did provide the Mountain Metro presentation from City Council in the packet. That does have the proposed route changes, the maps for those. So I'll when we get to that, I'll put it up on screen and just so everybody has a chance to get a look at that.
Great. Well, I'll just make the comment now that I think the 3 being free really has the opportunity for us to have a big impact on mobility. It's if we can try to promote it and maybe we can have some partnerships with the chamber. We can talk about here's ways that you can come to Manitou and you don't have to bring your car. And the number one thing that visitors complain about is dealing with traffic and parking. And if we can welcome them here on the bus that's free and clean and safe, that seems like a really great solution. So pleased about that.
Excellent. All right.
Question, Carl?
Piggyback on that. So in our discussion with John actually mentioned something really interesting the other day. I think this was OCC, maybe I'll get it wrong, but John can correct me. But there was some event, I think it was OCC Territorial Days, where they were using parking garages, underutilized parking garages in Colorado Springs and running a shuttle to OCC for territorial days. And so again, with the chamber and events here, hey, park in downtown Colorado Springs, and on the weekends it's dead, the parking garages are empty, and the ability, hey, you can just jump on the number 3 and take that into Manitou is a great option to reduce cars trying to park in downtown Manitou.
Go ahead, John.
The garages aren't dead at night. During the day, it works out really good. And so the schedules of when they get busy versus people coming here and going back would probably work out very well. I just want to make sure you don't think they're empty over there. They're busy. They're just on different schedules. But yeah, that could certainly be something to look at.
And unfortunately, I am gonna have to leave early tonight. So I do apologize for that, but thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with all of you. So. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Let's roll into our goal review. Item G1A. So quick review of our goals that we're looking at for this year. The goal 1 is to develop the scope for a micro mobility, not just bikeability, but would include bike and ped master plan. And we've got that on the list for this year, and we've had some discussions already with John about how we're going to move that forward and get to a clear scope of work and an RFP so we can get a consultant. We've got budget for that, so I believe that goal is still moving forward. We're going to give John just a little bit of time to get his feet under him here, and we'll look forward to some action on that relatively soon. Our second goal is to collaborate on the bike to school and walk to school day. And what's the date on that one again? Do you remember, Carl, the date?
So we already help support the May Bike to School Day with the middle school. I forget if there's a fall walk to school. I believe there is, but I don't have the date off the top of my head.
So nothing planned for June. We did it already in May.
Yeah, school's done now, so.
Good point. Okay, so we're not focused on that goal number 2 any longer for this year.
Not until the fall, unless the community gathering, I think there's potential for that to happen, but I think again, that might happen in August. And so we might be able to join in with that as well.
That's like the Day of Friendship.
The Day of Friendship.
Idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Goal 3, regular cadence for getting feedback and working with Mountain Metro. I think we've taken some steps in that direction. We had their presentation last month, and I feel like we're in good connection with Mountain Metro now. So that's moving along. And then the 4th goal was to update the RPP, and we've decided that we want to put that on pause just for now. Again, while we give staff a bit of time to get up to speed. So we'll be revisiting that, maybe later in the summer. I'm not sure we'll have something done by August. That one might push out, but that is still a goal for 2025. And I'm not aware that we've got any other map board presentations. So I think we'll keep moving into staff presentations. So James, I think you're up next with our regular updates. Bike ride.
All right, so Pike Ride, we did see yet another increase in ridership from April of last year to this year. Again, we can attribute that to the increased Pike Ride stations. We've also seen just an increase in activity kind of across the board. We've had higher transactions and revenue in paid parking. So we're really seeing an uptick kind of across the board so far through March and April in this year. And there's the station specific numbers. Let me know if you guys have any questions regarding Pike Ride. The only other update that I have bike ride related, is we are working right now on moving a portion of the Fields Park bike ride station over to the Dillon Mobility Hub. So I think I think we're doing two stations from Fields Park, just so that we have some access there. And then, of course, we'll still have that station on the other side of the street there at Lulu's as well.
James, I've got an oddball question. Are we, would it be beneficial if we had an extra approved bike rack? And I'm asking because I happen to have gotten my hands on one recently, and I wonder if providing it to Manitou would improve our bike ride options.
So are you asking if we could add an additional bike rack, or?
You said you're moving some of the racks from Fields to the Dillon.
Yes, yes.
Does that leave us short in either spot?
It's more to the point of restationing the bikes that are there.
Okay,
The rack itself is not the issue. It's the resource of the bike.
I see.
But we can certainly look at just having regular bike racks available. And this initial move from Pike Ride is just a way to get it up and running and start to see what our usage would be.
At the
So
Dillon.
it's restationing bikes is the issue. So adding a bike is where you get into cost. And so that's why we're taking this initial step to get up and running and try to look at demand.
Thank you.
We talk about stations, but it's the real issue is the bike.
Great. Hooray for Pike Ride. Keep going.
Questions for bike ride, or move on to Mountain Metro? Any questions on Mountain Metro data for this month?
James, I'll just throw one kind of side comment, and this isn't totally serious, but looking at the 33 numbers, part of me is sitting there thinking, gee, it'd be nice to know it feels like it's weather dependent, right? So what the temperature was that day might be a strong indicator of ridership for the 33. Trying to correlate that might be interesting, but not necessary, obviously.
Yeah, that might be a fun offline activity.
Any questions regarding Mountain Metro? Any other ones?
Don't think so. Thank you.
On to SeeClick Fix. SeeClick Fix report. We had a total of 10 requests that were submitted in the month of April. All 10 of those were fully resolved. And all 10 of those requests were various vehicle parking complaints, mainly complaints in RPP areas, stuff like that. We did have one work order that was submitted, which we subsequently completed as well. We had a work order submitted for the rear diagonal parking spaces in the 500 block of Manitou Avenue to clear out all the debris that builds up over the winter behind the wheel stops. And that cleanup has been completed.
Sounds like pretty quiet.
Yeah, pretty quiet. But that's not unexpected for this time of year.
Great. Thank you.
And I believe that is it for our report for the month.
Yeah, next on the agenda, we've got infrastructure updates.
Yeah, so one thing that was brought up during the city council meeting was various rates. So the things that were approved during city council were a rate increase in the 400 block of Manitou Avenue, our economy rate zone. That has increased from $2 for all day to $5 all day parking. And then we established a $5 all day parking rate for the Dillon Mobility Hub as well. And then finally, we implemented a 40-cent convenience fee that will be applied to all mobile pay transactions. You won't see that at the kiosk, but you will see it if you use your phone to make that payment. And that's just to cover the cost of the service itself. So those are the things that were approved at City Council. We're also looking at potentially looking at a special event rate. And our initial idea, this was presented to council. They wanted more information. So we thought we'd bring it here to maybe get some potentially get some feedback or generate some ideas. But what we were looking at was just implementing a very general special event rate that would be up to $20. We wouldn't necessarily charge that rate. It would just be giving us the flexibility to charge up to that amount daily for an event rate. And this could be used for a variety of purposes. For instance, if we were to establish paid parking in a lot that's normally not paid parking, we'd be able to use that for our events. So for example, the Shriver lot, I know in previous years we've leased out the 7-Eleven lot, stuff like that. And then we would also have some flexibility to offer a special event rate for our already established parking lot. So instead of charging the normal hourly rate, we just go, it's an event rate of $15 or $20. You pay that, you're good for the event. And that can be beneficial to folks that are attending the events, depending on where they park. That could be a benefit to them. But it would just be a simpler flat rate that we would have the flexibility to implement. So that's kind of what we're looking to do, and be open to any feedback that the board has or any ideas, anything that any considerations that we might need to look at in terms of polishing a proposal before we go to City Council.
Go ahead, John. Thank you. So I think the confusion arose, one, out of my ignorance of some of the history here, but also in the explanation we were trying to get across to council. The current special event rate that is in the rate schedule applies to vendors that are providing services for these events. In other words, when you come in for the Wine Fest, it's those vendors that are providing that service, and it allows them to be able to block off spaces either for them to be vending out of that space or for loading zones, things of that nature to load and unload. I know we've had some changes recently with parking at the Soda Springs park, where we're not going to be parking up in the grass and behind the event spaces anymore. So it's a way for them to be supported in the event. And what we were looking at trying to provide is something that would be just for the general visitor to that event. And when you look at having the range, because we could look to structure, what is the normal length of a marathon event? Well, that parker may be here 4 or 5 hours on average, hopefully longer, but, spending time in town. But we could have a rate that might be simpler for them to use with them and the people coming downtown to support that event. So those things would be kept separate. And that's the kind of thing that we, can talk to y'all more about and to understand. And they do currently allow the vendors to buy the $8 passes to park in Hiawatha. So that's where that discussion came up. So, we can, yeah, there's room to look to modify these things. So, but I hope that clarified the difference in the discussions, that what we were trying to accomplish and what came up.
Carl?
So I can maybe kick it off to maybe try and stimulate some discussion here. So from my perspective, the curb space in town has value. And during events, we have lots of people coming here. So you have lots of demand and insufficient supply. And, the goal is obviously to get people to the event and have a positive experience, but also maybe from a local resident perspective, it's like, hey, how do we encourage people to carpool, and those kind of things? And like having the number 3 bus free, might people be like, hey, I only want to deal with it, I'm gonna jump on the bus. And, now we have more bike ride hubs, and hopefully we can start, getting more people to use other modes. But for those that are coming, it's not like, the Walmart parking lot here. We're landlocked. We have a set finite number of spaces. And so pricing, just like our progressive pricing, I think trying to price that appropriately, not to gouge people, right? Not take advantage of anyone, but just hey, we want to encourage people to carpool and do the right thing. Please come. I think is a smart move. I don't know what the right number is, but a $5 per day is, that's going to be snatched up immediately and be totally packed. And if that's at the Dillon outside, right off a 24 off ramp, that's fine. But if it's them coming to like Hiawatha and then they end up circling downtown and getting stuck and it just turns into a mess, I think, pricing it such that fewer people are coming helps drive the behavior that we're looking to achieve. But anyways, some opening comments.
Well, I think that's a good comment. And I think this has got to be incorporated with, working with the event planners and what are the objectives. I like the idea that we're talking about the vendors and the people that are providing the event as a separate sort of entity from the people that are visiting. And whatever we come up with, it's got to be accompanied by some good messaging so that people know what to expect and they can plan beforehand if they're, gosh, it's going to cost me a lot. I like the fact that it's simpler, because we do hear, hey, it's really confusing to figure out how to park. Simpler is better, but if we can get messaging out that encourages people to not bring their car at all, then that's wonderful.
And just, I mean, there is demand, right? Because Briarhurst and, businesses and churches end up, renting out their parking lot. Hey, $15 to park here, kind of thing. So, they see the value and are trying to take advantage of it. And so, trying to match that pricing or be somewhere near that pricing, I think is the smart thing for the city to do, because that curb space has value. To give it away for next to nothing, especially when there's so much demand, doesn't make sense for us as the residents having to go through it, right? That maybe aren't participating in it. So making sure that we're getting the value out of that event that we can.
So I know there's a lot in the packet. There's a whole lot about event rates, right? I think we're not looking for a recommendation now. Are you planning another presentation that's going to go to council at some point? And is there a way that we can support moving this forward?
So I believe we are going to be re-presenting this at a work session. But I'm not real sure when that is.
Denise, you can correct me, but didn't they ask for something like, it was roughly 30 days out if we could just have it on the discussion side? Is that what you remember? Yeah. Second we could do, yeah.
Of June. Okay.
So just one other thing maybe to expand here. So my recollection from the council meeting was some folks kind of were questioning the rate for the special event, the blocked paid parking spot at 50 cents an hour. And so I'm not as familiar with this, so maybe a question for James and John. Is there policy or, playing devil's advocate? Hey, I am running an event. Why don't I just buy out all the parking spots downtown at 50 cents an hour? I can resell those to somebody for $5 an hour and profit off that. I mean, is there anything restrictions around that of the number of spots that you can reserve, or how does that work?
So that works through the special event process, and we do have people in the city that monitor that and work with the events, and we evaluate the request of the event based on the location they're in. So there is some monitoring. It's not, you can't just buy every single space downtown. And I don't have all the history on the prior events, but I am getting that information to me so we can see how that works. But it's not an unlimited thing. It's like, okay, no, you can't buy 100, 200 spaces. It's about half of Hiawatha for the primary events, the largest events, and then it's much smaller amounts for the other events. So, but that's part of, I think, what we need to look at the overall special event for vendors rate.
Okay, and if I heard it right, this is coming to council for a work session in the second week of June. We won't be voting on that. But so any members who are interested, if you want to pop in and listen to what happens down at council.
And it looks like Jenna maybe has some input if you'd be welcoming to that.
Just to be helpful for you all, for coffin races, we do take all the parking in the 600 through almost all of the 900 and part of the 1,000 block, including some of the 500 block. And I don't know how many spaces that is off the top of my head, but we have been doing $8 a space at that, which is the 50 cents an hour for the day, for the time that parking is paid. So in my opinion, I think that's worked really well for us to have those guaranteed spaces for the events. But that's the biggest one that we would take that parking for, and then half a Hiawatha for the other ones also works well. I don't think any events say otherwise. In my opinion on the parking for the attendees of the event is in favor of doing the further out you are, the less the cost, with the acknowledgement that the high school and middle school do $10 donations out there for a lot of events that support their athletic programs. But if you increased those rates as you get into downtown, and we relayed that messaging, I think it would be a positive impact on the events, that we don't have a lot of folks trying to come in and be the exception to the rule, so to speak. So
Driving around.
it complicates things. If people knew that the closer you got to town, the more expensive it was to park during an event, I think we'd have less of that. And I think that would be a positive impact on the events.
Just to clarify, Jenna, you're saying that for the coffin races, the event itself books off those spaces so that that space can be used, and the rate that they pay is $8 a space for the day. Yeah, and that's seems like a great use of space.
That's just through the road closure. Once the road is reopened after the races, then those spaces are still utilized. So I would honestly be curious to know what income is coming in parking revenue, even though those spaces have been paid for the duration of the full parking for the day, and how much is still being generated, even though that rate is being as an argument to not increase the $8 a day on the event is my point. Thank you.
Thanks for that. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, so the example she just gave is excellent. That's really what this type of special event rate is used and helped design for. In Colorado Springs, we also introduced one, and for the parades, it was pretty much the same way. You would pay a certain amount based on if it was a half-day event, you paid a different rate. If you were going to take it up for the whole day, multiple days, you just kept paying over. And the same philosophy was there too. Our goal was as quickly after the event, something like Parade of Lights, or another good example is St. Patrick's Day Parade. At a certain point, we would be able to open those spaces back up for the nighttime traffic into the downtown area. So that's a perfect example of where this special rate gets used. And again, we were talking about something that would be more geared towards the person visiting the event than the use of the spaces for the event. I think this type of rate structure supports the use by the event for the benefit of the city. So I was rambling, sorry.
Well, it seems appropriate that the city could decide administratively how they could allocate those spaces for an event to support an event. And it makes sense to me that that would be at a fairly low price to make the event successful. And I don't think that, well, we're not taking a motion on a position on it in any case, but so I guess it's just sort of my comment that I support what Jenna just mentioned, the idea that coffin races are this great event, and that's a really great way that we can use that space. What we want to do is encourage lots of visitors to come in, to either not bring their cars or to park far out and to not be driving around looking for a place to park and clogging things up. So for what that's worth. Okay. Any other discussion about these special event rates? Okay, we'll keep moving along here. Requested updates. Do we have any requested updates on our list?
Not that I'm aware of.
I'm always interested to know what the latest is on the plans for Ruxton.
I haven't heard of any updates on that. So I would say the last you've heard is as far up to date as I am on that. We can try to see if there's any changes or updates to that and maybe bring it back for the next meeting, but I have not received any new info on that.
Okay. Shall we move into the Mountain Metro route changes then?
Yeah. Alrighty. So here's kind of where we're at with the current Route 33. And so right now, as you know, they stop at their main pickup and drop off is the Hiawatha Gardens lot. And then they are more or less returning to the Cog Railway bus stop, and those are kind of their main pickup and drop off points. And then the proposed change would have the Route 33 bus no longer picking and dropping off at the Hiawatha Gardens lot. It will continue down Manitou Avenue, making a left onto Garden of the Gods Place. They do have a stop at Fields Park. So this is kind of a hybrid of the 33 and the 36. And it will wrap around Becker's Lane, pick up at the Dillon. The plan eventually, once they get the Dillon lot to its final form, is the bus will turn into the Dillon lot and turn around there. But in the meantime, they will have to pick up on the street. So they have to use Fields Park and Garden of the Gods Place as a way to get turned around. So what City Council approved is the route that you see on the screen now, where they will make that stop at Dillon before proceeding back down Manitou Avenue towards the Cog Railway. And my understanding at this point is The plan is for them to make 2 stops downtown. And that's to give folks an opportunity to get dropped off at the main parts of downtown, so they can visit the shops or the restaurants, whether they be on the way to the incline or on the way back down. Just because there are a lot of folks that do want to stop off in town and get a bite to eat before they go home. So that's kind of what you can expect going into the next year. And then, of course, we won't be having the 36 any longer. It will just be an extra 33 bus to try to maintain either the current levels of service, or during the peak season when they have that 3rd bus, it will be actually a little bit quicker than what the 33 is currently. So any questions on route changes?
So just a clarification of kind of timing, right? Because there's a sequence of events. So the Dillon is going to come online in the next week or two.
Yeah, so the original plan was to get that going by June 1st. We've had to delay that at this point. So the new date is June 16th. And we're hoping to have paid parking infrastructure put in, Pike Ride, as well as some additional public bike racks installed by that date. And so once that goes into place, unfortunately, we won't have the 33 servicing at that lot. So for this year, we will have to continue utilizing both the number 3 shuttle and the 36. And the 36 would connect folks to that Hiawatha lot pickup for the 33.
And so the 36 is going to stop at the bus stop right in front of the Dillon, where the 3 and the 33 ultimately is going to pick up until the long term.
Yes. Yep. So that bus route will be in place. The 36 will pick up there and the 3 will pick up there. And then that will connect folks to the shuttle stop at the Dillon, or I'm sorry, the Hiawatha lot.
Right. And then this fall, Hiawatha is going to go offline as we start construction there. And we'll have the new 33 shuttle running before that starts.
Correct.
And then how are we, or what's the thought or plan for when we want to implement long-term Dillon mobility hub changes? Are we going to do that in phases, like half of the Dillon lot, or are we going to close the Dillon and move people back to Hiawatha once Hiawatha is done? Is there any thought been put into that?
That is a great question. John, do you have anything to add to that?
No, it's probably 2 to 3 years out for that phase of it. And once we're up and running in the current phase, then they'll start the planning of what we're going to do in the final phase and how we'll be able to lay out the lot. Once that's determined, we'll be able to, look at budgets and look at the best time to actually implement that. So I don't have a hard date to go from the temporary to the permanent layout.
Right. And I get that it's going to take what it's going to take. Hopefully it doesn't take 2 to 3 years, right? Because the ultimate goal is to get buses off of El Paso. And so having the long-term Dillon lot in place so the buses can turn in directly off of Manitou and not have to make the loop around on El Paso and Beckers. And that would actually help with the headways and everything else as well. So, it'll be what it is, but just, hey, it'd be great to get that done as soon as possible, obviously. So
I agree with you.
Sure.
This is Nate from Plainview. Is there sort of a formal communication and ribbon cutting with the Mobility Hub? It's an amazing initiative and effort, so.
Yeah, we have an internal timeline, and in that is the marketing plan that we're putting together. So all those things are outlined and being put together and formalized. So yes, there's a long list of things we're working on internally. We're just not quite ready to release them, but internally it's being done. And it will be announced and marketed.
And Nate, you just reminded me, so I'll ask for the record. So what's the plan for, long-term plan for the Dillon sign? Are we going to maintain that for historical purposes? The cool historical Dillon Motel sign there? Not a mobility question, but yet of interest.
I can't speak to the other people in the city and what their input would be on that. But at this point, I'm not aware of a removal time for that sign. We're going to be putting up our wayfinding signage and parking and everything around it. So I don't have an answer for that at this moment, and I have not heard a discussion of that. Doesn't mean it's not happening somewhere other than me, but I haven't heard about it.
I'm sure the Historic Preservation Committee might have input on that, but anyways, that's outside the purview of this board.
So James, can you just confirm what's the timing to make the change that you just described?
Yeah, so that's going to be September, I want to say 26th.
Okay. Thank you.
I think it's actually the 28th on their calendar, but it's close. It's one of those 2 days.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments about this?
Yeah, as far as marketing that switch, I would recommend really working with City of Colorado Springs and the Incline, their piece. I mean, the reservation system is kind of defunct as it is right now, since there's nobody actually checking reservations. That being said, reservations are still required. So the goal of the reservation system is being met, right? Because you still have, when it's sold out, you are limiting access to the Incline. But in any case, I think it's going to be very important that we get current Incline users communicated to efficiently with the change of their parking location, because a lot of 33's ridership, of course, is for the Incline. So to co-market that with City of Colorado Springs would be important.
Good point, Luke, and maybe the Incline friends also. Because we'll be encouraging the park at the Dillon rather than Hiawatha. Yeah.
So just a comment on that, because that's a really, I think, important piece to set that lot up for success, because if people don't have a good first experience, they're not going to come back, and they're going to tell all their friends not to come back, even though the longer term plan will be better. Because I mean, you think of it, Hiawatha is going to go offline in the fall, so it won't even be available. But for the summer, they're going to have to ride the 36 to Hiawatha, get off and get on the 33. So they're going to have to transfer. And so I don't know, maybe we give them, just throwing wild ideas out there, Manitou bucks or something, to ride that for that summer period, just to encourage people to and have that positive experience, hang in there with us while we go through this transition. It's not ideal, but it is what it is, and encourage people to keep using it.
Where are they taking 36 from?
They're going to have to get on the 36 right in front of the Dillon Motel on Manitou Avenue and ride that down to Hiawatha or Chase Bank, and get off and then get on to the 33 to get all the way up to the Incline.
Because they won't be able to park at Hiawatha.
Once Hiawatha goes offline, correct?
That's happening before the bus change?
I'm not 100% certain what the timing is on
No.
that, but I think, well, John can maybe clarify.
So the plan is the new 33 route would be up and running before we have to cut off the Hiawatha. And just so you know, we have had marketing and communications with the Parks and Rec Department in Colorado Springs to get this up on the website. Your question about what the reservations and how that is, that's out of our direct control, but we have brought up that I think there are plans to try to get that more substantial, because I understand they used to have attendants there that would actually check reservations and things like that. So we're having those discussions with them, and there will be information on their website. But I don't know how the reservation system, how that's ticking up at this point from their point of view. It would be great if we could definitely tie everything together. That's what we want.
So I guess in my mind, then, the Dillon is, I keep trying to push this, so I'll push it again. It's like a soft open, until the shuttle is in place in the fall, right? Maybe for large events, maybe people
When you say shuttle, you mean the change to the 33?
change to the 33,
Okay.
yes. Because to expect people to do that transfer, 36 to 33 or most people aren't going to want to do that, in my opinion. If they're incline or cog users, right?
Yeah, but if I'm using the incline, I'm gonna keep parking at Hiawatha
Until it closes.
until it closes. Unless it's full, then I'll go to the Dillon and yeah, I might be sad. I'd have to take a bus and change at Hiawatha.
Yeah, just, trying to set expectations that the Dillon will be underutilized. It'll be available. We can test out the kinks, work things out, but it's not like it's going to go gangbusters until you really have that efficient shuttle in place. Maybe that Pike Ride station might become really popular. Those kind of things, but yeah. And once they add, sorry, John, the bridge where you have access to the trail, I think it'll get a lot more use as well.
I understand there'll be service from the 3 there initially as well. So as soon as we open the 3, we'll be able to stop there. And also the 3 is free June, July, and August as part of the program that Colorado Springs Metro runs. So.
But again, that only gets you to Hiawatha coming into town.
And we'll stop at the Dillon?
It's the same bus stop.
The 3, yeah.
Yep.
It's just going to move a few feet down the street.
And so actually, maybe there's another follow-up question here. So last month we talked about moving the bus shelter across from the Hiawatha down to the Dillon. Is there a schedule for that occurrence?
Yeah,
yet?
so we're working on that right now as well. So that's something we want to have in place by the 16th as well. And then the subsequent plan for that is to move the Pike Ride Station that's in the Hiawatha lot currently out to that pad, which should increase its visibility and should help increase ridership there as well.
Okay, well, that's a good update and exciting things happening. Can't wait to see how it actually all works on the ground once it gets running.
One more question for that new Route 33. Can we confirm the time that it will start? Because the 6 a.m. start time of the current 33 is pretty important for incline users. Will that continue that time frame?
Yeah, so the times are going to remain the same. It's that 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. for the 33. And that's during the summer. And then off-season time, it goes to 6 to 6, I believe.
James, it might be worth mentioning, my recollection is council did approve extending the peaks season, the start and end. Because like the end, instead of right now, that peak season, the 15-minute headway goes all the way until the end of September, but now they're going to go in October based on ridership numbers. And I thought they were starting it early as well, starting in April or March instead of April, a couple weeks earlier, because there's ridership numbers showing that the bus was really full as the weather changed.
That sounds right. So that's a good addition. So I'll have to follow up on the exact times for you, just to make sure I've got that info correct. But yeah, that sounds right, Carl. I believe they did make that change.
I think the first pickup's something like 5:58 at the Dillon. I've got that, and we're putting all the marketing materials. I'll have all that in it, but it'll be early.
Okay, well, I think we're ready to move on. I'm not aware that we've got any other presentations from staff. So we've got no voting items, so we are now into board correspondence. So this is the time for anyone on the MAP board to bring up something of interest. Anyone got anything this time? No? Okay, Well, just before we move into adjournment, I just want to say thank you very much to everyone for being here. We are still kind of finding our rhythm a little bit, and we've got new staff, and we're really excited about being a high functioning board and collaborating well with staff. So thanks everyone for your patience as we kind of get this up and rolling. And I want to reiterate the statement I try to make each time. This is a place, everyone's opinion on our board is valuable. It's not necessary that you agree with anyone. We're going to have all kinds of differences of opinion on when we do have some contentious issues, and that's totally fine. And we welcome that, and we welcome all viewpoints here. So just wanted to say thank you very much to everyone for your time. And I would welcome a motion to adjourn.
Corey, I'll move that we adjourn for the evening.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.